Hello everybody. Today is November 7th, 2024. Doing laundry. Haven't made a video in forever. So maybe I go sit over here. Okay. Yeah, we're doing laundry. Becca, can you turn down his tablet a little bit, please? Thank you. Yeah, so I haven't made a video in a while. No excuses, really. Yeah, no excuses. Just working a lot and relaxing when I'm not working, whatever. So, a lot of news since I last made a video. One, the big news, obviously, is Trump won the election. I was wrong. I didn't even know if I wanted to make a video about that. I got a hair on my screen. But yeah, I predicted Trump would not win. I even bet my friend Jesus a drink at work. So if Trump won, I got to buy him a drink, and if Trump didn't win, he would buy me a drink. So I owe him, like a soda or something. He actually said he wanted coffee. So I made a small bet that Trump would lose, and he didn't. So that happened, which is big news. The United States is getting a new president. It's not going to be Joe Biden. It's not going to be Kamala Harris. It's going to be Donald Trump once again. Yeah. Why did she lose? Should we talk about that? I don't know. I've heard a lot of political commentators talk about why she lost, and the reasons vary. The last guy that I was watching basically said that a lot of people are just uninformed. Whether it's true or not, this is what he said. He said a lot of people are uninformed about everything, politics. They just kind of vote blindly, as I think what he was saying. Sort of blind support, which is true. But it's both sides. I mean, people are going to blind support Trump, Kamala Harris, pretty much anybody. There's going to be a certain... I mean, you got to understand, over 100 million people voted in the presidential election. Guarantee you not 100% of that 100 million is well-informed, say every day they were checking into news channels or looking up about a person's politics or whatever. Out of that 100, just say 100 million, it's more than 100 million, but let's just say 100 million. I mean, people have jobs and kids and whatever else, and so some people would just be like, oh, hey, it's time to vote, and they just go vote. Oh, that person looks good, or they like someone for a superficial reason because they're a man or woman, tall or short, white or black or whatever. So that, I mean, it is true. A certain percentage of people are going to vote. I think they call that identity politics, or whatever they call it. But based on non-political factors. But then, of course, there's going to be a percentage of, say, that 100 million people who voted, who did take their time and do whatever research on both sides, Republican, Democrat. Actually, I think over 2 million people voted for not Republican or Democrat, for independent. Who else was running? Jill Stein and some other guy. Oh yeah, the Kennedy guy. Again, talk about people being, kind of oblivious. I don't know how many votes he got in total. Almost like 500,000 or something like that. But the guy dropped out and said, go vote for Trump. But people still voted for him. So it's like, the guy's telling you, hey, don't vote for me, go vote for Trump. What if Trump ended up losing? And the Robert Kennedy guy literally said, hey, go vote for Trump. And you vote for him anyways. I mean, that's fine. You vote for whoever you want. You can vote for Mickey Mouse if you want. But anyway, so, people, a couple million people voted for neither Kamala Harris or Donald Trump. So that's interesting. So there's a certain percentage of people who voted obliviously. There's going to be a certain percentage of people who voted not obliviously, who took their time and research, who did vote based on political reasons, political criteria, stuff like that. So again, you get 100 million people of anything, there's going to be all kinds of mix, really smart people, really dumb people, really biased people, really racist people. 100 million people is a lot of people. And so within that 100 million people who voted, or again, it's more than 100 million, all kinds of characters in that, all kinds of characters who voted for all kinds of different reasons. Anyhow, the fact is, though, Trump won. He won the popular vote and he won the electoral vote. Not as big of a margin as people say. I think people look too much at the electoral numbers. I don't. I pretty much just look at the popular vote. And so the last I looked this morning, and I think around 72. Trump got around 72 million votes. Kamala Harris, 67, 68 million. And so that's closer than people say. People are saying, "Oh, it's a landslide," in Trump's favor. This and that. It's not. It came out to, so Trump is getting like 51% of the vote so far, and Kamala Harris has 47, 48%. That's a pretty close split, So, yeah, when you're talking about, like I said, 100 million or more than 100 million voters, so the difference is about 5 million between what Trump got and what Kamala Harris got. And I know, obviously, 5 million is a lot, but when you're talking about over 100 million people who voted, that's not even 5% of variation if you're talking about statistics. So it's really not that big of a difference as people say. So it was a close race. It's kind of dumb that some or a lot of people are saying, yeah, he won by such a big margin, this and that, and it really wasn't.
Oh, I'm using that. Yes.
Well, here, you want this one? No, do you want this one?
I want to close up on that.
You want this one?
Sorry. Anyway, close up on that.
I'll drink to that. So when all the votes come in, they'll probably end up landing around, Trump will probably end up being somewhere near 75 million votes, and say Kamala Harris around 70 million. So again, 5 million difference, but you're talking about more than 100. What's 14? Almost. That's about 150 million. Almost 150 million voters. Especially when you include the independent ones. Yeah, 5 million it's less than 5%, like I said. So not as big of a difference as people saying, "Oh, it's a landslide, blowout, this and that." It was close. Oh yeah. So now, why did Kamala Harris lose? Like I said, one reason that people gave, I've heard this a couple times, is people are saying, "Oh yeah, because basically I think what they're trying to say is that a lot of people who voted for Trump, this is not me, a lot of people who voted for Trump that they voted blindly, and I guess they're just saying that, like I said, there's going to be blind voting on both sides, but they're trying to make it seem like I don't know, that I guess he got more blind voters, basically voters who didn't research or whatever. They're just like, oh, they're just pro-Trump regardless of what Trump says or does or whatever. So that's one reason. Another reason people gave is either dealing with race or with gender. Again, which is true to an extent. You got to understand when you're dealing. I can't stress this enough. 100 million people or 150 million people is a lot of people. Out of a group of 150 million people, there's gonna be racist people in that group. There's gonna be sexist people in that group. There's gonna be, again, on the other side, there's gonna be really smart, intellectual people in that group on either political side. Okay, so when you're saying, people voted against Kamala Harris because she's black or because she's a woman. Okay, that's true. but people voted for her because she's black or a woman too. It's just as bad. Whether you're voting against or for somebody based on their race or gender or their height or anything like that, it's just as bad as voting against them for those reasons. Okay, so anyhow, so yeah, I mean, it's just a fact. Yeah, a certain percentage of the voters is gonna be that. I think the bigger reason that she lost, when because I thought about it longer, is one, I don't think that people like the swap. The Democrats literally voted for Joe Biden to run again as president, and they expected him. However many millions of people voted for him in the primaries, and it's like, hey, he's our current president. We want him to run again against Trump, and they thought that he was going to win. Whatever reasons those Democrats had for voting for Joe Biden in the primaries, and then all of a sudden, a few months before the election, I drop out. So I mean, if I had voted for Biden in the primaries and he did that, I would be kind of sour too. To be honest, I'd be like, well, maybe I'll just vote for nobody then. Because I mean, if I voted for Joe Biden, that's who I wanted to run. Not Kamala Harris, not Mickey Mouse. I wanted Joe Biden. Not me. I'm just saying if I had voted. And so, yeah, I think that soured a lot of people. People are, even though, was it even Joe Biden's decision to drop out? Maybe not. Was his wife pushing him to drop out? Was the political party in general pushing him to drop out? Maybe people were mad about that. People who voted for Joe Biden, in the primaries, and they felt that Joe Biden didn't even want to drop out. That the party itself forced him to, forced him out, and they were sour about that. And they're like, no, I'm not gonna just vote for whoever they tell me to vote for. Right? I mean, again, I would potentially do the same thing if I was supporting somebody. Maybe people even donated to Joe Biden. Imagine that. So imagine you're a Democratic voter. You voted for Joe Biden in the primaries, and you donated to his campaign. You really wanted him to run. You thought he was the best chance of beating Trump, for whatever your reasons, right? And then all of a sudden he drops out because whatever, the establishment, or because he decided, yeah, you're going to be mad. I would be mad. Right? And so you say, yeah, well, you guys go fuck yourself. I'm just going to not vote. Right? I think that was a lot. And that's one thing that nobody mentioned. Everyone is trying to, a lot of people on the Democratic side just trying to blame Trump. Or his supporters or whatever. But, when you lose, like in chess, I play chess. When you lose in a game of chess, you got to look inward. What did I do wrong? What went wrong? Why did I lose this chess game? And you got to assess yourself. And it doesn't seem like a lot of Democrats are doing that. They're just it's the Trumpers' fault, or a bunch of racists voting against Kamala Harris because she's black, because she's a woman. Again, okay, yeah, there's going to be a certain percentage, say 5, 10 million, however many people are voting against Kamala Harris because she's black, or because she's part Asian, or she's a woman. Okay. But there could be another 5, 10 million who voted for Kamala Harris just because she's black or Asian. Okay, so it cancels out. Okay, but what's the real reason that she lost? Again, like I said, I really think that a lot of people were just sour. And then in that, part of the switch, all of a sudden, a couple months before the election, it's like, oh, yeah, Joe Biden, he's not running anymore. And you're a Democrat, you're like, oh, okay, well, again, I donated, I voted for that guy. I guess we're doing the Kamala Harris thing now, right? And then, just the fact is, even if you did support her, if you were a Democrat and you did support her, you're like, okay, whatever, we did the switch, that's what we're going to do, right? Well, that's not a lot of time to campaign. You only give the woman a few months to go around. I mean, because, when you campaign for president, you're trying to get people to vote for you from all states. Well, she only had, I don't remember how long it was, 2 months, 3 months, whatever it was. You got to try to hit up all the states, all the counties here and there, this and that. It's just not a lot of time. It's like whoever was the one who decided for Joe Biden to drop out, whether it was Joe Biden himself or the Democratic establishment, they waited way too long to do it. Either A, Joe Biden, the best scenario was for Joe Biden just to not run for re-election at all. Hey, I'm getting old, it's time for me to retire. He could have went out way better, and if they wanted to bump up Kamala Harris for the try to get her to be the Democratic nominee. Yeah, they should have done it way sooner, if not at the beginning. Just announce early that Biden, he's not going to run for re-election. Whoever wants to run on the Democratic side, So yeah, I think that was a mistake. They waited way too long. Whoever decision it was on the Democratic side, Joe Biden or otherwise, for him to inevitably drop out, they waited way too long. Way too long. And I think that, like I said, I think the switch is the biggest factor why Kamala Harris lost more than anything else, more than a racial thing or the fact that she's a woman. Like I said, she still got basically 70 million votes. She was in the running, but that 5 million difference between, say it comes down to, like I said, Trump inevitably he bumps up, he gets to 75 million total votes, and Kamala Harris 70 million, 5 million difference. Well, part of that 5 million, I really think it's just people who were soured, people who, maybe she wasn't able to reach out to, like I said, because she just didn't have the time to campaign, and maybe people were undecided, and she couldn't get to whatever area of the country they lived in, and they never got to hear her talk in a speech or whatever. She just didn't have enough time to campaign. Now that's on top of any kind of political dissatisfaction someone might have had with Kamala Harris. Like I said, everything is a percentage. Everything is a percentage. You take that 150 million people who voted, and again, certain percentage of people are just going to be like just anti-Democrat, okay, or anti-Republican. There's going to be a certain percentage of people who are going to be anti-woman, or anti-black, or pro-black, or pro-woman, or who, like I said, who got soured because their candidate dropped out, and they're like, well, I just don't want to vote at all anymore. And so it's all a percentage. It's all just percentages. And I really think that the biggest percentages of why, like that, there's going to be that 5 million difference in voters is because that swap. It's either like you're going to run with Joe Biden or you're not. If Joe Biden's not going to be the candidate, he had to have dropped out way sooner. At least give her like 6 months to run. Not like, whatever it was, 2 or 3 months. I think that was the downfall. And nobody's talking about that. Everyone's trying to blame race or gender or whatever else nonsense. I don't think it's any of that. It's the swap. It's the swap. And the funny thing is to me, it reminded me of anyone who remembers Seinfeld, where George Costanza, he likes he has a girlfriend, and he ends up liking the girlfriend's roommates, and he tells Jerry, his friend Jerry, that he wants to do the switch or swap, I forget what they call it, and he wants to date the roommate instead of dating the current girl he's dating. And Jerry Seinfeld's like, the switch can't be done. In the history of like human society, no one's ever been able to switch, from the girlfriend to the roommate or something like that. And it reminded me of that because, in the history of U.S. politics, have they ever done a switch like that where you have someone who's running and all of a sudden they just try to swap him out like 3 months before? Oh, he's not going to run. Let's try the vice president. The swap doesn't work, as Jerry Seinfeld says. Doesn't work. It didn't work. She lost. I was wrong. Trump won. Now we see what happens. So, for those who don't know, the U.S. president takes office, even though they're elected in November, they don't take office until January 20th. And that's it. He's gonna be the 47th president of the United States. Some people, on the Republican side have high hopes. People on the Democratic side have the opposite of high hopes. Worry, concern, whatever it may be. But it happened. That's it. He won, and we move on. 2025 is coming, and see what happens. Anyhow, that's my take. Thank you for watching. See you guys next video.